Our top story, the city of Quincy could be on the edge of growing by leaps and bounds, but this growth would focus more on land rather than population. WGN's Zeke Shapiro explains recent debates surrounding the city's mile-and-a-half buffer zone.
What began as a dispute over building a shed led to a Quincy City Council debate over potential annexing of a mile-and-a-half buffer zone outside of Quincy. While no plans have yet to have been drawn up for city expansion, there could be some benefits. When is something inside of a city not actually inside the city? Well, in the case of a mile-and-a-half buffer zone located just outside of the Quincy city limits, that exact situation exists.
If you are within the city limits of Quincy, you are paying city taxes, you are paying Park District taxes, and you are paying Quincy Township taxes. If you're in the mile-and-a-half area, you are not paying city tax.
But you are still somewhat controlled by the city. The mile-and-a-half buffer came up more in governmental conversations after a solar farm project in the area was denied in May. At Monday's city council meeting, the area was talked about again after the council voted to allow a family to build a shed on their property despite it not meeting code.
So they're not in the city limits. They don't get to vote for alderman and mayor, but they are subject to our zoning regulations because the county does not have zoning regulations.
Having control of the zoning serves as a major benefit to the city.
And the mile-and-a-half gives that opportunity to make sure that we know what is going into those properties. We know that they are following our zoning codes.
So if the city has partial control of the area, then why not just annex it completely?
There are neighborhoods where residents don't want to be part of the city. That's why they moved outside the city limits.
Mayor Linda Moore explained some of the potential benefits included a drop in buffer zone residents' water bills. However, there are negatives.
But their property tax would go up because now they would pay property taxes as well.
At council, the argument amongst the aldermen came down to a simple question.
Centered on whether or not the city council should be making decisions for residents that live within a mile-and-a-half of the city limits.
In other words, if someone doesn't vote in a city election, why should they have to follow the city's regulations? Quincy Director of Planning and Development Jason Parrott explained there have been circumstances in the past where some properties were right where it would be considered the city limits, but were simply not a part of the city on paper. Raja?
All right, thank you, Zeke. And by the way, the mayor says she was not in a rush to annex, but expects more discussion about it next year.